Kind of the insurance companies are, what we're going to talk about is non-vendor specific. We've gotten these from different ones. Every insurance company that we've seen has kind of been around the same, but some have been, doing different items that they want. We've seen some with high, medium, and low. I just, first priority, second priority, third high priority is kind of the way I kind of went through these. First high priority basically is going to probably prevent you from getting cyber insurance. They probably will not write you a policy without having some of this stuff put in place. Our biggest thing is these are things that you should already have in place. I mean, if you've heard me and Perry talk before, I mean, we've always talked security, MFA, all of this stuff that we're kind of going through and how we can tie in all that stuff. So it's nothing new, it's just now the insurance company is what they are wanting from it. That's the insurance company. If you haven't seen the movie, I'll spoil it. He does see everything that he says he sees. So the insurance companies do see it. I mean, they definitely see, as these attacks come in, everything and everywhere in every way that they are getting in. MFA requirements. So they're requiring MFA on email. So if you're still on-prem, there's other stuff that we have to do to get it so that your email server, your Exchange server on-prem has MFA. A lot of times it's just a third-party program that you got to get and put that in. Require multi-factor authentication for remote access, VPN, RDP. We talked earlier in our earlier session about application proxies and stuff like that, where we have to MFA into O365 and then we can hop in through an application proxy to kind of get to the application so that we're not trying to jump through layer and layer and layer of this stuff. Because again, there's secure and there's usable, and you got to go in the middle of it because it can be really secure, and we'll see a slide later on that. But if it's unusable, there's no point to it. I mean, people can't work, Privilege accounts, domain administrator accounts. We've been seeing a lot of this lately, especially on like the servers and stuff like that, where if you need to go do something on your server, you have to MFA into it to do any type of admin thing. PCs around the office, we see this a lot where every person's computer, they are local admin of their PC. I saw where it was authenticated users in the local administrator account or group. So no matter who you were, you had local access to it when you logged into it. So again, there's those things where, they shouldn't be there anyways. We need to work on getting those kind of tied down. We do a lot with LAPS, local admin password server, where it changes that administrator password to something random generated every number of days that you want, stores it in AD, and that way, because how many people, and I don't want to see hands, they set up a laptop and it's the administrator is the same thing on every single one of them. So if you guess one, you know all of them around the whole building. That's what we're trying to get away from. Anything to add? No. Basically, it's a trap. So, I mean, they are trying to trap people as much as they possibly can. We just need to be vigilant and be more secure. And that's what the insurance companies are basically forcing you to do. MFA recommendations. Passwordless. We talked about this early in our other conversation. But passwordless to me is the way to go. I mean, if your employee doesn't know their password and doesn't need it, there's no help desk tickets for you to have to reset their password because they forgot it. I mean, if they don't know it, then they don't need it, there's no reason for any of that to happen. So some of it is, I can do, some things I still have to put a password in for. So, but most of the time I'm passwordless. I go to the O365 login page, I put in my email address, I hit next, gives me a number, I open up my app, I look at my app and punch in the number that's on the screen, I hit OK, I use my thumbprint, and away we go. Now, obviously it's not 000 like, what was on stage earlier. But those are the things that, you need to make sure of. Well, you're talking about the tokens.
All right, so if you don't want to use your phone for passwordless authentication or MFA, you can also use a FIDO2 token. And most of the new FIDO2 tokens, they also have a biometric in there. So you insert the token, put your fingerprint on there, and then that is considered a form of MFA as well.
Text not recommended, just simple fact, those can be spoofed all over the place, and to me it's very cumbersome to have to log in, put a username, put a password, do that, then wait, and depending on Microsoft or the telco or whoever, you're waiting for that text message, you finally get it, you put it in, and then it takes a little bit longer for them to check that and come back. Where, with the app, you're putting it in, it says approve, I hit approve, and you're done. You don't have to put in any 6-digit code.
Right, yeah, we're trying to merge security with convenience.
Yep. I like this one. I changed all my passwords to incorrect so that when I don't do it right, it just says your password is incorrect. Hey, that's pretty smart, I thought, Backups. Require offline, off-site backups of critical data. Used to be, hey, you had your backups and you got replication somewhere else, and we kind of tied all that into AD, and we kind of, did all that. Well, we're kind of seeing now, well, that's kind of a bad thing because, if they get into your domain admin account or an admin account and reset that password, they can now get rid of your backups. So it's kind of nice to have those either offline or, Bart, what's the immutable storage? Yes, have them with immutable storage. That helps protect that overwrite of them. And again, you want to have them on a separate whole system. Where's our backups? On the servers. We just lost the servers. Oh, well, we lost the backups. Need to make sure that they're on a separate host, separate storage, whatever, and offline and offsite. Patching EDR, create a written path for outline for patching critical, software, hardware. This is kind of one of those big ones where we kind of just don't look at it. How many times do we go, yeah, Windows Update will take care of most of the patches. We don't need to worry about that. Or, the biggest one was with the Exchange server, Well, the CU is kind of up to date. Well, if it wasn't up to date, that was the vulnerability. So, we need to make sure that you're kind of watching those patching, and, we're trying to alert you guys on some of those 0 days and how we, can help you out with that stuff. I think some of the hosts on, with some of the things had a vulnerability. Same thing, we need to patch the host. Just kind of a 6-month rotation at least of, hey, these are the things that I need to update and keep up to date and going.
Yeah, and that includes firmware on firewalls and any other kind of security appliances out there. They generally won't get updated automatically, so you'll have to go in and manually patch those.
And I know that you guys have a competition with everyone around you of who can keep the firewall up the longest. Let it go. I mean, just, well, I saw one for 2.5 years, I think I saw one time. So, yeah, you don't need to be a winner in that one. Nice little thing. Oh, we got the final patch done. We're all good. Yay. We're in production. Oh, there's an Exchange vulnerability that came out that I don't see because it's behind me or, I'm not paying attention. That we just need to make sure that we're doing those patching on everything. There is a whole balloon that you have to patch. Invest in an endpoint detection and response solution, EDR, or XDR, or whatever.
Depending on what vendor you're talking about.
What vendor and all of that stuff. Insurance companies really want this, not so much that it is protecting the machine, because that's what the antivirus does. The EDR is for the insurance company and their forensics to go, okay, they came in on this one, it reached out to this machine, and now we can see it on all of these machines, and we know how it spread. Because the faster you know how it spread and where it came in from, the faster you can patch that, the faster you can get back up and running. So if you have because if you don't have that, now you have forensic guys, asking for your, copies of your drives that they're looking through logs and logs and logs of trying to see all the things that have happened. We've done that, where we did an internal pen test and, me and Perry were looking through logs upon logs upon logs of going, okay, we know that came in here and it was this email and stuff like that. So it makes that a lot easier for the insurance companies. They're not having to pay the forensic companies a lot of money to do a lot of that stuff. And here's where I come in, where they're secure and usable at the same time. All of our devices are now 100% secure. How'd you do that? I just turned them all off. When I was in school, my teacher told me, it says, you want a secure server where nothing will get to it and happen? Turn it off and bury it in the ground and don't put any data on it. It'll be secure. Is it usable? No, but it is secure. So again, we need to make sure that we keep some of that lineage of what we can do in there. I know it's an older picture. I love this one.
Is that a selfie?
That's a selfie, yeah, sure. From I think it was last summer at the lake cabin. I've upgraded my hacking gear. Have you updated your security? Tom's not in here, so I'm not going to get a good credit out of this. But again, sharpen the axe and keep your stuff up to date and everything else, because they're changing daily on this. You need to be the same way. There's constantly things that we're seeing that are new. Not necessarily new, but new ways that they are doing it. How they're spoofing some emails, how they're texting phones because they get cell phones of people, and all of those types of things. So you want to keep up to date. You want to keep knowing what's going on. Second high priority. Is that you, Kelly?
Oh, that's Jason.
No. Second high priority may help you secure more competitive pricing and coverage. These are the ones that you're probably going to be spending money on to save some money, and depending on the insurance company, it may or may not pay for both. However, these are ones that you probably should be doing as well. Trading, again, not a big cost, but something you should be doing. Require annual cybersecurity awareness training of all employees. I know Lynn on our security team has been, doing a lot of those. I know we do with a company doing, phishing campaigns constantly, and working through those things and just making sure that you are training your employees. I mean, like he said, you can train your employees, but sometimes it's just something completely different. But if we can get some of that baseline down, we're ahead of the situation. Phishing, one click is all you need, as he showed in the his video.
Morning keynote.
Nope, the gentleman from ThreatLocker about the Windows Word, thing. All you have to do is click on it, open it, and it pushes out the policy. So I mean, one click is all you need, and if they're now local admins, because we push that policy out for everything, you now can have more of an issue. And if you're using the same password for everything, now they can literally go to every single PC in your environment. Dr. Pam Soc, great doctor. Created disaster recovery policy that includes backup based on information. Told you I was going to have a problem with that one.
Criticality.
There you go. Thank you. We have this at High Point. I know our internal IT manager, lovely guy. You probably worked with him, Mike Rarick. Very anal and very good at his job. So we have this in place, and I know he works with Bart of, hey, what servers do we need? How can we spin these up? You need to make sure that you have this kind of set up, registered. As Lynn said, you know, have it printed out, not on the server. You know, there's two reasons, obviously, not to have it on the server. One, if you get compromised and the bad actor comes up and sees that, they know everything that is very valuable to you and what to attack, how to attack it, and go first, okay? So that's one reason. The other is your servers are going to go down. You can't get to it because your servers are down. So really want to make sure that you have printed copies of it. It goes home with a couple people, you know, stuff like that, where it's available. Hey, we got this issue, drive home, get it, or hey, it's in the safe in the back room, whatever. Just try and keep that.
Right. And, you know, it's not a one-time set it and forget it. It's something that you're going to have to revisit occasionally and update with, you know, as things move up and down in priority in your guys' network, you need to adjust your plan as well.
Yeah. Big thing is okay, like somebody just tried to do their cyber insurance, they renewed it. Company they were with, you know, was a little bit more expensive. The other one said, hey, if you do all this, it might be a little cheaper, so they swapped. Well, they never put that in anywhere, so everyone was calling the old insurance company, now wasting time of, oh, well, who's our new one? I don't know. Bob set that up. Well, where's Bob? Florida, I think. I don't know. So again, keep all that stuff up to date as you change stuff. Come on, here we go. Invest in a privilege access management tool. Basically, making sure that your service accounts are getting rotated, that, you know, basically you're giving permissions to people who need it and at the time they need it. Lots of companies out there that are doing some PAMs. So, I mean, again, start looking into those, start, you know, going with, you know, talk to your account managers, hey, you know, Pam or whatever. And we're doing a lot more now with the breaches where they may have a file on a server that has all the usernames and passwords. And obviously that is something we don't want. So we're actually, you know, helping people set up, I try to be very vendor specific, but a secret server, as you might say, for them to store their stuff in the cloud so that it is not on a document or tied to anything locally and stuff like that. So there's always some of those good things where that you can incorporate those in with a PAM to make sure that those are all good. And then the last one on the Dr. Pam Soc is actually doing a SOC, you know, a Security Operations Center. I know everyone, your IT budget is huge and you can, you know, hire 14 new people to work 24/7 to watch a screen and call you when something happens. Right? I mean, everyone has an unlimited budget. And that's where places like, you know, was up on stage earlier talking about that and their stock as a service. And just kind of tying those types of things in. I mean, there's other ones out there. But like I said, you kind of want to start into those and start getting prepared for all that logging, because logging is great, but if you have so much logging that you can't look at the logs in a timely manner, they do no good. You pile them up and, yep, I'll look at those, yep, I'll look at those, and yeah, I'll take a couple minutes this afternoon to look at those, and then you're doing this and that, and then you go home and, oh crap, I forgot to look at the logs, and it goes on for a couple of weeks, and then finally you look at one and you're like, oh, this hasn't been running for a couple of weeks. So, you know, that's where it's nice to have those SOCs to kind of go through those logs and parse them for you.
Yeah, filter out all the white noise and find out what you actually need to look for in the logs.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. What do you look for in logs? What is important? You know, when you do it as, you know, some of these SOCs, you know, as a service, they've looked at enough logs that they know what's good, what's bad, what's informational, what's, you know, it may be informational, but you really want to take care of it because they know it's going to have an issue with something. Basically, they've narrowed down our security risks down to 2 groups. Everyone that works here and everyone who doesn't work here. So just 2 groups, that's all you need to worry about. Again, just because you've got people internal and you've got people external that want to get in all the time. Encrypt, we need to create a policy for encrypting you know, mobile devices. We say even your desktops in your office, just in case somebody disposes of it, you know, poorly or whatever. Definitely the laptops, you know, either use the BitLocker and tie that into AD so it stores the BitLocker key, or some other third party that is going to not BitLocker, but encrypt the drive, is something that is huge. I mean, we tell people, don't save stuff on your laptop. Nobody does that, right? Nobody ever has anything on their laptop that when they get a new one has to come over, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they lose it or anything else and it's not encrypted, somebody yanks that drive, they basically, you know, can now plug it into an external and read everything that you have on there, you know? So they've got access to your data when it's not encrypted.
Yeah, and like Watson said, you're going to want to either use BitLocker and have it right back to Active Directory or up into Azure, or some other third-party tool that's going to catalog all of your recovery keys for you. You're not going to want to go around to each one and throw them in an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that. It's just too hard to manage at that point.
Laptop encryption is my favorite. It keeps me off the naughty list. Oh, naughty went down the bottom. Oops. Strictly enforce SPF on incoming emails, a must. I mean, so we want to make sure that we are going through and doing that with the emails coming in, just to help, you know, get rid of some of those spoofs in there. And then going outbound, they want you to start looking at setting up SPF, DKIM, and DMARC for your outgoing emails so that they know that you're less likely to be spoofed. Because problem is you get spoofed, they send it out to someone, they reply back with something. Now they can also get that over to the right email address, and now it kind of starts that whole loop of where are we going to start funneling money. SPF, DKIM, DMARC, I love this picture of him. What are they? What the hell, you know? Ask us, we can help you set them up. I mean, they're not hard. If you're in O365, it's a copy paste, you know, some text records, stuff like that. DMARC, there's some services out there that will actually parse through all your DMARC logs and stuff like that. So again, it's just some that you're going to want to start looking at. Third high priority, again, these are what insurance companies are on the radar for, radar items. Start planning for them. Local and domain admins, again, turn off admin rights on everyone's device. At High Point, we have our normal login, and if we need to do anything as administrator, we actually have to put in a different account that is all of our elevated accounts to do that. And I'm not talking just us as, technicians or engineers. I'm talking like our project managers. If they need to install a piece of software or do something, they have a local domain admin that is a separate account from theirs. So it's not literally right there that they can do it. So there's some of that segregation that needs to happen. Limit service accounts in domain administrator group. Too many times we go in and we see the domain administrator has like 20 people in it. Some are service groups that have another 20 in it. Then some have people that don't even work there anymore. Some are, yeah, he needed to be a local admin, so we made him a domain admin. We just need to watch those because you don't know whose account is probably going to get compromised at any given time. So we want to make sure that we start layering that security out.
And any account that you log in with every day, your normal account, should not have any special domain admin rights or
local admin or anything.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about, privilege escalation if all users have root or local admins, right? I mean, works out great that way. Backups. Test critical data backups from a full restore. If you have, I think, our backup as a service, I do believe they actually spin them up. Do they boot up? Yes, those types of things. If you're doing your own local storage, go in there and at least make sure that they are backing up and maybe test that they actually do come back up, on a timely manner. We had an incident last week of a place and nothing spread from the one PC, so that was nice. But we said, okay, if something did happen, we started looking at backups. Well, their backups have been failing for the last 6 months because they got a new IT guy and the failures were going to the old guy, And so those are just things that, hey, we have it set up on a rotating basis to go look at those, do it. Those are always best to do. I see you don't have a backup plan for your data. I also like to live dangerously. You are. I mean, you literally are. If you get corrupted or don't have good backups, you can have a lot of problems. You are going to have a bad month or months because rebuilding everything is not fun.
Yeah, or it's not fun looking for another job either.
Where's our backup? I don't know. I left that one there too because I like it. Filtering your SIEM DLP. Invest in email filtering. I cannot stress this enough. I can't remember who said it that said, Microsoft or Outlook and Gmail, their spam security is not the greatest. I 100% agree, and I love Microsoft. But they're just not there yet, or even if you buy the upgraded Defender piece of it, it's still iffy. You still have to babysit a lot of that stuff, whereas if you go with, one as a service, it's all taken care of for you. It's just, hey, I know that I'm protected. I know they're going to take care of it. We don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you shall not pass my spam filter. Invest in a security information and event monitoring, a SIEM tool. The gentleman right after lunch that was up there talking about it, again, that's one of them that are out there. You have too many logs to just try and go through and look at all of them. And kind of what he was saying and even what Lynn was saying, one does not simply finish deploying a SIEM. You are constantly, if you're doing it on your own, you're constantly having to tweak it, make updates. If you're doing it through as a service, there's still some stuff that you're going to be doing, but they'll be doing some of the heavy lifting with it. Invest in a tool that monitors data loss, DLP. Another big thing as we're moving more and more stuff to the cloud, more of our documents up into SharePoint, what do we need to lock down? How do we get it so that, medical information or personal information isn't going out on-prem? There is no real way that you can do that. Your email security might have something that has a little bit of DLP. but there's always something that, you know, can go out. Once you go to the cloud, you can kind of set up a little bit easier with inside of Microsoft to do that. And the biggest thing is it may not look like something is important, but another movie that I love is On the Sensitive Data, Playing the Sensitive Data disguised as some other sensitive data. It was probably disguised as nothing, you know, some weird name that the person is giving it that doesn't mean anything. So, you know, you can't filter by name. You literally have to go through and start looking at, you know, information inside the documents. Is there social security numbers in there? Is there credit card numbers in there? Any questions?
Chris, I have one online.
Oh,
It was when you guys were talking about MFA. How do you manage being functional without internet service? Like if you're on a flight or in rural areas?
so MFA on the computer, if you're using a third-party tool, most of those will have an offline type thing. Obviously, if you're offline, you're not going to be into a website and stuff like that. So you're basically dealing with just the local machine at that point. So if you don't have MFA on your machine to log in, you don't really need to worry about that. However, that's the other thing the insurance companies are starting to say is we want everybody in the company to have to MFA into their machines. My guess is it's going to be a big, bold item on cyber insurance probably next year or the year after. They're going to force it.
So along the same lines of MFA with administrative right privileges, you know, when you escalate from your user account to, say, could be domain admin or a different escalated privilege capability, you know, that MFA option obviously is provided through Microsoft solutions, you know, other recommendations you make for those in-house capabilities.
So, and that's where that whole, they want MFA on all the desktops and stuff like that.
Sure.
Where if you're on a PC, and there's a couple products out there that we've looked at and actually, you know, recommend that if you try and escalate something, it not only comes up with the, you know, that you have to put in the domain username and password, but then again it comes up and says, you know, I need to force MFA on it. So again, it's, Microsoft itself is not doing much with MFA on local machines. I know we just heard earlier that, you know, we want to protect our machines. Microsoft says, nope, all your stuff's in the cloud. I don't care about your machine as much because all your data should be in the cloud. Nothing should be on that machine. So that's Microsoft's stance on it. So they're not real worried about getting MFA on a desktop or anything else. And with like some of the remote people and stuff like that, a lot of them using their own laptops, and now they don't have to do MFA on their laptop. However, everything we have set up at High Point, you do have to MFA into. So, I mean, if I want to go into our CRM, BombGuard, you name it, I have to MFA into all of those. So, I mean, that's where we're coming from on those. Any other questions? Then the last little comic I got for everyone. Don't always think about cybersecurity, but when I usually do, it's too late. That is true. So, I mean, we started out with the plexiglass windshield and is ending with, start thinking about it now. I mean, just, oh, well, we don't have our cyber insurance, you know, re-update for another 9 months. Okay, well, you need the 9 months to plan all of this stuff to get it done, you know. Too many times we're getting some people, and if you're in the room or online, I apologize, they contacted us 2 weeks ago and said, hey, I've got to have this done by the end of the month. Okay, we'll see what we can do and try our hardest to help them out, you know. So start planning for it now, you're gonna need it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.